Hi, welcome to Liberty Park Music. I'm Michelle Huang, your piano instructor. In our last lesson, we have learned music fundamentals such as the half steps and whole steps, accidentals, time signatures, intervals, and octaves. We also learned how to read notes on the grand staff. In this lesson, we'll be talking about tempo marks, articulations, and rest, and how important their roles are in making music more varied and interesting. Let's start with tempo marks. Tempo is an Italian word that means rate of speed. Tempo marks are words used to indicate the tempo used in playing music. Here are some of the most important and frequently used tempo marks. Allegro means to play quickly and happily. Moderato is to play at a moderate speed. Andante is a moving along, walking tempo. Adagio means to play slowly. Largo is very slow. Notice that allegro not only indicates tempo, but also the character happily. Depending on the music, each of these tempo markings can suggest a different character as well. As you can see in the two examples here, one is marked andante espressivo, or to play in a walking tempo with expression. The other one is marked andante maestoso, which is to play in a walking tempo, but majestically. As you can hear, they're very different in characters, even though they're both marked andante. In addition to tempo marks, another way to vary music is through articulations. Articulations are specific markings on a score to indicate how the notes are to be played. Some notes are to be played long and connected. Some are short and detached. We'll be talking about two types of articulations today: legato and staccato. A slur is a curved line over or under the notes. It often indicates a phrase, which is a musical thought or sentence. As you can see in the short excerpt here, it is an A measure piece with two slurs indicating two phrases. Both phrases are to be played legato or smoothly connected. Let's practice playing legato using the basic 5-finger pattern. Place your right hand thumb on middle C and play C, D, E, F, G, walking your fingers from one note to the next, thinking about moving your fingers and hands horizontally, but remember to still feel the weight of your arms. As you walk your fingers, feel your wrist and elbow moving a step ahead of your fingers, leading to the next note. One of the most common mistakes seen in playing legato is not letting go of the previous note before going on to the next note. So be sure that your fingers are not glued to the keys. Keep your hands and wrists loose and just slide from one key to the next. Now let's go back to the short excerpt with the slurs. Spend a few minutes and play this piece, observing the tempo marking and slurs, practicing your legato playing. Remember to walk your fingers on the keys, but not holding on to any notes longer than its indicated value. The opposite of legato is staccato, which means to play the notes short. Staccato is marked by a dot either over or under the note. Just like what we did with legato, let's practice playing staccato using the basic 5-finger pattern, starting from middle C again. The general motion of playing staccato is to bounce from the wrist. This bouncing motion will give us the short articulation we want, with rounded sound and more vibration, without sounding punchy or forced. Now let's go back to this short excerpt. Notice that we're alternating between staccatos and non-staccatos, and in this case the non-staccato notes are half notes. The general motion for switching back and forth of the two articulations is that the staccatos are up motion and half notes are down motion. Be careful not to let your wrist drop below the keyboard when you come down on those half notes. The down motion takes you back to your neutral position, not below it. The last term we'll talk about in this lesson is rest. Rests are silences in music. These are moments when nothing is played. Musical rests are just as important as musical notes, and they are an essential part of music. Rests have the same names and durations as notes, so their names are very easy to remember. Quarter rest is to rest for the value of a quarter note. Half rest is to rest for the value of a half note. And whole rest is to rest for the value of a whole note or any whole measure. You will count these rests the same way you will count notes. For example, a quarter rest will get 1 beat of silence. A half rest will get 2 beats of silence. A whole rest can get 3 beats or 4 beats of silence, depending on the time signature. Take a look at this excerpt. First, identify the types of rest in the music. On measure 2 of the treble staff, it is a half note followed by a half rest. The bass clef has a whole rest in each measure. As you get to these rests, simply lift your finger slightly, just enough to stop the sound. Count the correct value and go on with the music. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this lesson, we have learned about tempo marks, articulations, and rest. In our next lesson, we'll look into other note values such as the eighth notes, eighth rest, and dotted quarter notes. We'll also learn new time signatures, new dynamic markings, and key signatures. See you next time.